Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another What Are You Playing episode for January 2021 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and what are you playing with me today?
I am Joseph Butler, but please call me Joe.
My name is Eric Hunt. I am from the Nomads of Fantasy podcast. Happy to be here.
Hi, welcome back. Because last time we played was What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, that was a great episode. I really enjoyed being on that one.
That was a great episode.
Thank you. That's a really good game that not enough people play.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite indie games for sure.
Yeah, even though it freaks the hell out of me. But for some, it will depress me. Shouldn't depress me. I do. That's how I should have worded it. All right, and I haven't been playing anything because I don't play anything that isn't for the show. So I just have mainly movies and TVs to mention. But Joe, why don't you tell me something you've been playing?
I've been kind of in a rut. I'm still technically going off of my new job, but so I really haven't. I've been coming home tired, but I've been playing a little bit of new Pokemon, which is a month old, and I'm very slow at it just because it's like I just want to get to the new stuff. Just get me to where like they say that you can recatch Rayquaza by finding like a GBA cartridge.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah. There's some kind of mechanic they introduced. They showed it off in one of the trailers where it's like, oh, use a machine to go back in time and catch legendary Pokemon. And like the Rayquaza one's obviously a Game Boy Advance cartridge. Mewtwo's obviously a Game Boy cartridge. Like it's interesting. I'm just like, I just want to get to that, please. I'm like on the fourth badge.
And you're playing the new remake of Diamond and Pearl, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got a PS5, so
Sweet.
I decided since it was on sale, I bought Far Cry 6. I beat one of the three main zones, and I don't know how y'all feel about Far Cry.
Personally, I'm a pretty big fan of Far Cry, especially 3. 3 is my favorite. I feel like that's kind of the common consensus. I liked 4, but never finished it. 5, like the story was absolutely dumb, but the gameplay was still super fun. I ended up pushing that through that one just because like the gameplay loop is so fun. And I bought 6 actually for my PS5 as well, but I have not touched it yet.
I've only played Blood Dragon, which I beaten for the show, and then I beat the one for regular Xbox like years ago. But I've never played. I've been meaning to play Far Cry 3
3
and 2,
is the best. Yeah, for
but
sure.
I haven't got myself to do it yet.
3 is the best.
I forgot
own
about
multiple
Blood
copies of
Dragon.
it.
Blood Dragon is good. I also played Primal, which was an interesting experiment. I don't know. I thought it was cool, but it just wasn't really Far Cry for me. It's kind of a caveman simulator, which I wasn't a huge fan of. I mean, I come to Far Cry for like the bombastic like action and explosions and the dumb stuff you can do with all the different weapons and everything. So I feel like Primal kind of took a lot of that out of it for me. But I'm looking forward to getting into 6 a little bit, even if it's, even if I don't finish it, just something fun to throw on.
Are you a sneak man, or do you just go in guns a-blazing?
Usually I'm a sneaky boy. I like the bows. I like the silenced pistols. And then obviously once shit starts going down, I, go loud, break out the rocket launchers, all that stuff.
Oh yeah. I've always been sneaking. I always feel like sneaking is always the way to go. And then if you end up messing up, you can always go guns a-blazing.
Yep.
This one has kind of a weird mechanic where because it's guerrilla warfare, you have to start off with really shitty silencers that can only do like 3 shots before they don't work for like a minute. They overheat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then enemies are also wearing vests and platings and helmet, which
right.
is because they're always trying to do something different with these games. And that's kind of the only mechanics I don't like about this, because it's like, well, now I have to look for supplies to make, I guess you just need some duct tape and a toothbrush to make all your bullets armor piercing.
Right.
But like, it's still like one of the things where it's like it's a pain in the butt, but it's also like playing Far Cry games and Assassin's Creed games too, any Ubisoft games, like maybe like 3-4 months after they come out, because there's always videos of like, hey, do you know how to get this gun super early in the game that makes it the game not a pain in the ass in the first like 6 hours, and just get these things. So
plus Ubisoft gets cheap within a few months too.
Yeah, this was half off for Christmas.
Yeah, I think that I got Far Cry 6 free on I had like a PlayStation reward thing. So I just picked that up. But yeah, still haven't touched it. That's kind of like a rainy day game that I'm just waiting for when I have nothing else to play, which is never. There's always something in my backlog that I'm trying to get to.
I bought Metroid for Christmas. Haven't touched it yet. I feel so bad.
Dude.
Oh,
that's one of the things I was going to talk about.
I just played
perfect transition.
Metroid Return to Samus before you go into that, and that for the show, there's no episode, but damn, that made me really want to play Dread so bad.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Samus Returns is really, really good. I feel like it's so underrated and paved the way for Metroid Dread. I mean, it's the same developer, Mercury Steam, but I really, really wish they would port Samus Returns to the Switch because it deserves it. Like, it's so good. And Dread just improved upon that formula like tenfold. It's awesome.
And then I'm gonna have to super apologize to Mike because I'm bringing this up in his podcast. Probably like the worst thing someone could ever do. I'm a fan of the series, and I decided to waste the $40 on apparently a broken PS5 port. The only thing I've recently beaten was the new Five Nights at Freddy's game.
Oh man,
those have almost been on the show a few times, but I just can't get myself to actually do it.
It's fine. They're okay games for what they were. This new game doesn't take place in 5 nights. It takes place in one, but it's fully like a giant megaplex, and it's really buggy. Like, you could tell this game was not ready yet, and someone was just like, "You promised us a game. We want a game." You can tell from, like, I'm a really big trailer guy. You can tell from the trailers there's cut content like all over the place. There's lines they use in the trailers that aren't in the game anywheres. And like, I think I've been seeing people who are like playing the game for the first time were like, "Oh yeah, I accidentally jumped over something you weren't supposed to, and I got the bad ending."
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, and with that, I decided to go down to Target and waste $30 and buy the 3 comics that they turned from the book, which are super obviously movie script that were pitched and didn't go through.
Okay.
Oh man. Yeah, I've never touched a Five Nights at Freddy's game. Like, I've seen gameplay and stuff, but I don't know, something about it that just doesn't really appeal to me as a horror game. Like, I'm a fan of the horror genre, but I don't know, something about Five Nights at Freddy's never clicked with me.
It's different. I'm gonna have to admit, it is a little different. It's not for everyone. It's basically the first 3 games are a jump scare simulator. But I like the idea of piecing the story together. I'm always like also a big horror movie fan, like Evil Dead and stuff, where you don't get the whole story, and that's kind of the point of it. You're supposed to, argue with people and things like that. So I kind of have a soft spot for the series.
Okay. Someday I keep telling myself I'll play them, but we'll see if that ever happens. I don't play a lot of horror games anymore. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah. Well, you were on our Resident Evil 7 episode back in October.
Yeah, but I hadn't played it recently.
But yeah, that game, man, that's definitely one of the scariest games I've played.
Oh yeah, I'm purposely waiting because I'm supposed to do it for this show at some point once a friend of mine, the one that made the intro, is no longer busy. We're gonna cover it together when she's ready. That's one reason I've been sitting on it.
That's awesome. Yeah,
because I want to be this experience of the first time when I do cover it again because it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you do replay it, just play it on easy. That's what I did when I replayed it.
Play everything on easy.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of blow through it. They give you so much ammo. It makes it less scary too, since you're fully equipped with everything. So
how's Metroid Dread been going? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. So over the Christmas break, I wanted to finish a couple big games from 2021 that I hadn't finished yet. One of them was Metroid Dread. I actually finished that on like New Year's Eve, like right before the stroke of midnight. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, man, Metroid Dread is awesome. Like I said, it's basically Metroid Samus Returns, a lot of the same mechanics, but like they just improved upon everything. Like the map system is, I feel like it's been a little bit divisive. I think it's like one of the best map systems ever in like a Metroidvania that I've seen, which I mean, Metroid created, half of that genre. So I would hope that they would have a good map system. You need that. You need that in a game like that to kind of know where you're going. But yeah, it was fantastic. It's tough too. Like it's a hard game. That last boss is no joke. It took me took me like, I don't know, an hour and like 20 tries to actually beat it. But like at the end, you just feel like so good about it, and it like that feeling after you beat it and finish the game is just like so good. Definitely I would probably say my favorite Metroid game that I've played. I haven't played a ton of them, but like it's up there for sure. And yeah, I highly recommend it if you have any interest in that genre. The other big one that I finished over the holiday was Psychonauts 2, which I also love. That's probably my game of the year from last year, probably just edging out Metroid Dread. Psychonauts was something that I haven't really touched before this year. Like with all the hype around Psychonauts 2, I'm like, I don't know, I guess I'll try out Psychonauts. So I played through the first one, absolutely loved it. I played through the VR game, Rhombus of Ruin, which also is awesome. Probably one of my favorite VR games that I've played. And then I played through Psychonauts 2. And like, I don't know, Psychonauts, just really clicked with me. The humor, the gameplay, it's that throwback like 3D platformer gameplay, but it feels really, really good. And you can, I mean, the development time between Psychonauts 1 and 2 was like crazy 15 years or whatever it was.
Yeah,
but like,
it's a long time.
They just improved so much on the mechanics. And like, to me, it was almost like, I don't know, Mario level platforming. Maybe not quite to that level, but it feels really, really good to play. And it's just so fun, all the powers and everything, and all the designs, like the artwork is amazing. And I don't know, I can't say enough good things about that game.
My only big thing about Psychonauts 2, which I played a little bit of that too. I stopped playing it because my original Xbox One, not the original one, but the slim one, could not keep up. Like when you die in that game, that was like a two-minute wait. Yeah,
I think that is definitely where next gen has the advantage, because I was playing on my Series S, and like when you die, it's instant reload, you know? So like none of that was a problem for me, but I could see how it would be annoying. It was kind of the same thing like when I was playing Forza Horizon 5 on my Series S. I'm like, this is great. There's barely any load times. And then like my other co-hosts from the Nomads of Fantasy, Brandon and Dave, they were playing on their Xbox One X's, and they're like, man, these load times are insane. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm already in. I'm already driving around. So definitely the promise of next gen fulfills on the loading times, and it makes a big difference with your experience with a game, especially when you're dying multiple times with something like Psychonauts 2. So that was really cool. Let's see, what else do I got here? Resident Evil Village is another thing that I had started up recently. Playing that on PlayStation 5. I haven't finished it yet, probably about halfway through, but I'm also really liking that. Have either of you guys played that yet?
I'm the biggest Resident Evil fan, so I got that midnight.
Okay, all right. So yeah, Mike, I'm assuming you haven't played it yet.
I want to, but I don't like buying games when that, and if I don't do anything I play, I have to put it on the show. Unfortunately, I just suffer that illness, so I don't play. So like I want to play it, but it looks cool as hell. Like if I wasn't doing the show, I might have picked it up already and played it because it has my interest.
Dude, yeah, it's great. I picked it up. I think it was on sale for $20 at Best Buy on Black Friday. So I picked up the physical edition there, and yeah, man, it's great. Like it's beautiful, especially on a PlayStation 5.
Is it a lot about being stocked though, I think?
So it's structured very, very similarly to Resident Evil 7. I won't go into specifics. I don't want to spoil anything, but like there is like a main area like in Resident Evil 7 with the house, and then you do have like a character stalking you, kind of like Jack from RE7. And then after you get out of the main like first area, it branches off into a couple other smaller areas. So it's structured very similar to RE7, but I would say not as scary for sure. Like it has creepy vibes, but it's not like scary.
There's a couple moments that freak me out, but everything in that game, like it feels like a sequel to 7. But at the same time, I can totally play that game and be like, oh man, I really can't wait for the remake for 4.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the comparisons for 4 are really apparent, like the environments and everything, with the old village and the castles and all that stuff, and the werewolves and everything. So yeah, it's more of the vibe of 4 for sure. It's definitely not like Texas Chainsaw Massacre horror that Resident Evil 7 was.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Have they announced Code Veronica remake yet, officially?
No.
That one needs to be remade when it comes to remaking them, because that one is one that I really want to replay, and I can't play the original.
That's fine. I understand that too, but Capcom is really weird. Like, I hope they really learn their lesson, because 3 is not a good remake, and 3 is has always been my favorite. And it's funny because we've been going into this and Metroid Dread, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to play Metroid Dread. I'm always a fan of like you're being stalked by something that you can't technically kill right now, and like 7 kind of does that well in the beginning, and then 8 goes into that and pretty okay at the beginning as well. But Dread, like seeing, I've seen like the first 2 Emmy fights for that game, and I was just like, oh, I need to play this like yesterday.
Yeah, dude, it's great. Yeah, I feel like Metroid hasn't leaned into like that horror-y aspect as much, even though it does have that kind of feeling, like reminiscent of like Alien and stuff like that, that same kind of environment. But for Dread, they definitely lean into that a little bit harder. And it is, there are some tense moments when those Emmys are stalking you. And like when you get captured, it's like it's kind of freaky.
Yeah, I don't like being stalked in games. Like Resident Evil 2 Remake, when I played that's the game that terrified me the most that I've played for this show. And I mean, it was a great game, but I freaked out all the time. Did not want to play it.
Yeah, man, that game, I love that game. I haven't played the RE3 remake yet, just because, like Joe said, it wasn't received very well. I've been kind of waiting for it to like go on sale, like super sale for like $10, and maybe I'll pick it up and check it out because I know it's pretty short. But
yeah, that's a good price for it.
But yeah, RE2 remake is like probably my favorite Resident Evil game for sure.
See what else have you been playing?
I checked out, since it came to Game Pass, Aliens Fireteam Elite.
What is this? I've been really curious about it, but I don't know what it is.
So it's the simplest comparison is it's a Left 4 Dead like. It's a 3-player co-op shooter set in the Aliens universe, and that's really all there is to it. Like, it's not
such a weird number.
It is. It's interesting. Yeah, it's specifically 3-player co-op, and which is perfect for us because we're like a group of 3 guys. So you don't really get 3-player co-op that very often. But I don't know why they chose the number 3, but I mean it works. Like I said, it's kind of simple. You're just going around shooting aliens. I mean, there's weapon upgrades. The environments are kind of cool, but they're also kind of samey. We've only played probably the first 2 campaign missions, so I don't know if it opens up anymore or if there's any more variety in the missions or the enemies or anything. But for now, from what we've played, it's a pretty standard, like one of those, like Left 4 Dead type co-op shooters.
Does it have a story mode, like an actual story mode campaign?
It does, but the story and the voice acting is pretty terrible.
I just need a single player type thing to beat if I play a game.
Oh, it's not. I don't think you can play it single player. If you do, you could. I think you might be able to play it with bots.
I would need bots.
Which it's not a super hard game, so you could probably get through it.
I like the Alien franchise. Like, I really, I enjoyed Alien Colonial Marines when I played it at one time. Game's garbage, complete garbage, but I had fun with it.
So yeah, I mean, if you're comparing, Alien Isolation is the Alien
that's a good
movie,
game.
And then Aliens, the movie, is Aliens Fireteam Elite, where it's more action focused. There's a lot of shooting. It's not scary. They don't really lean into the horror, but you just got tons of xenomorphs coming at you, and you're just mowing them down with your machine gun. That's really all there is to it.
There's different classes too and stuff like that, like Doctor and ballistics and stuff like that. I've seen my husband play a little bit of it. I've seen some complaints about it too. Like, I know it takes like forever for you to level up in that game, and
yeah. So I feel like that's a good one just to jump into and like, hang out with friends. I don't know how much, Mike, you'll get out of it playing it single player. I
probably won't ever play it, but
yeah, I feel like it would get boring if you're just playing it by yourself, especially since like the dialogue is pretty bad.
Podcasts are for. I just put podcasts on when I play games like this, and I just zone out and play them.
That's probably the perfect game for that because you don't really need to pay much attention to it. You're just holding down the trigger, firing at xenomorphs. But like I said, that's a good one just to throw on if you're, bored with friends.
Okay. I always like just knowing about other co-op games. I just can't get myself to play co-op. It's too hard for me to organize it with people for some reason. Even all I do is organize. But it just never, I don't know. The friends that I would play online games with, it just never, I don't enjoy it as much. The only one I really enjoyed playing online with was back when I used to play with Mike, the previous co-host of the show. Me and him played a few times online. That was fun, but I always have a hard time doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I have a couple of other little things just to touch on. I've been playing more Halo Infinite multiplayer, which is probably my favorite multiplayer game of recent years that I've played. Like, I'm not really a competitive online multiplayer guy. I mostly like single player narrative experiences, but Halo Infinite, there's just something about it that I just keep coming back to. It's super fun with friends. The Gunk I checked out on Game Pass as well. It is developed by Image and Form, which are the developers of the SteamWorld series, which I absolutely love, the SteamWorld series. And this is a little bit different from that, like a third person, not shooter. I guess it's more like a narrative driven adventure game, I would say.
Okay. Suck up Gunk, apparently.
That is that is just about it. You land on this alien planet and you're basically these 2 girlfriends and you control one of them. And the dialogue is really cute. It's really fun. Their banter back and forth with each other is great. And then they have this like little robot buddy partner thing. And yeah, you're just going around this alien planet trying to solve what's going on with this quote unquote gunk. And you have this Basically, it's like the Luigi's Mansion, like poltergust vacuum, where you're sucking up this gunk and clearing out these areas and, trying to restore this planet. So it's fun. I only played probably an hour of it. I know it's pretty short, so I might finish that just to see the story through.
Hey, short is nice.
Yep,
Yeah.
short. I'm always looking for short games for sure.
Is it co-op?
No, it is single player only, I
Oh.
believe. Yep.
I'm okay with that.
Yep. But yeah, that one just came to Game Pass and
It's not on Steam, by the way.
not
I
on
just
Steam.
looked.
Okay.
Because one thing I love about doing these What Are You Playing episodes, I hear about games that I never would have heard of before. And somebody that comes on will be like, oh, I played this. And I'm like, oh, and I'll look it up on Steam. Like The Lake, for example, is one game that I really, really want to play, but hasn't gone on sale yet. And I haven't made myself play it. But one day.
Yep.
But yeah, that's what I love about. You guys will mention stuff that I never even knew existed.
The only other things I wanted to mention, I got a Backbone controller for Christmas, which is basically it's like a controller where you plug your phone into it, and they have this whole app where you can, sync up all these different libraries like Apple Arcade and Game Pass, xCloud, all that stuff. And it's really cool just to throw on, and it feels really good. Like it's I feel like it feels better than like a Switch in your hand. It feels more like an actual controller. But I've been playing a couple little things. That new like Rocket League mobile game, Rocket League Sideswipe. That's really fun. Lego Builder's Journey. That's also a fun one. I just wanted to mention those couple little things, but that's about it.
I wonder if this would work good for emulation.
I bet it would. It would. Yeah, absolutely. I want to say it's only for iPhone. So it might be a little tougher, but
Okay.
I think it's specifically made for iPhone. I'm not sure if there's an Android version of it. But the only other thing I wanted to mention game-wise was a little game called Wordle. I don't know if you guys have been in on the Wordle craze or not.
I am not, but I see all the freaking posts, and I watch an Overblood replay about people talking about Wordle. I have no idea what Wordle is.
What the hell is Wordle? I don't know what it is either.
Okay, I'm glad I get to explain this to you guys. So basically, it's this little browser-based game that, I don't know, I think one dude created. And every day there's a new word. So everybody gets the same word to solve. And so basically it's always a 5-letter word, and you can start with any word, like guess any word, any 5-letter word you want. I usually start with something, with like 2 vowels and maybe an S and a T or something, just to kind of get more common letters in there. But then it'll fill out, and then the green square, I'm sure you've seen this on Twitter and stuff with the green squares and the yellow squares and all that, whatever.
It just made no sense to me.
So the green squares are the letters you got correct in the correct position. The yellow squares are letters that are in the word, but they're not in the correct position. And then there's gray letters, which aren't in the word at all. So basically you have 6 guesses to get to the correct word. And I don't know, I've been addicted to it for like the past week. It's like a once a day daily little ritual that you just boot up every day. And I don't know, I've just been loving it. And people always share their scores on Twitter. Oh, like I got it in 3 guesses today, or I got it in 4 guesses today. So that's fun. It's just a fun little thing to be a part of and, share with your friends and stuff. So I just thought I'd mention that one just because it's kind of in the, all over social media right now.
It's not Flappy Bird. I gotta say that.
It is not Flappy Bird. Yep. That is true.
My only weird go-to game is, are either of y'all really into gacha games?
No.
Not really. I feel like I've dabbled a little bit, but not lately.
I've really been into Cookie Run Kingdom, which is it's a gacha game, but I feel like I haven't really spent as much money as like people would, because you hear stuff about like Fate, where like this dude's like, oh yeah, I went bankrupt trying to get this waifu in a bikini for the summer edition.
That is insane to me.
Why?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But like I want to say I'm missing one legendary, because I think not missing an ancient. There's like normal, rare, epic, and then like ancient and legendary. I'm only missing one ancient because I started the game late and it was like the previous season. But I have everything, and maybe if I want to, which I do, I spend like $5-10 a month. But you don't even have to do that.
Yeah,
if you enjoy it, there's nothing wrong with spending I think, small amounts.
And
like
if you
that.
think it's worth it,
It's just like one of those weird, like you just send them out. It's like a team of 5 and you send them out. And like, I think the only reason why it's gotten bad for me though is because there's a website that I go to that shows like, oh yeah, this one, has iframes when it does its special and stuff like that. So this is the perfect team build. And it has worked because there's a PvP mode, and I've gotten to like the top 50 since been using it. So I'm like, yeah, this is pretty okay.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think I've ever spent money on a gacha game before. I played like that Fire Emblem mobile game for a little bit, just because I love Fire Emblem, but I kind of fell off that pretty quick. And I've been interested in like Genshin Impact, but I just can't bring myself to get into it.
The only game that I used to spend money on was called Little Empire, and I used to spend money on that game, but it wasn't a gacha game. I would spend money to buy to give myself gems, the currency to buy other things.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of me with like Clash of Clans for a little while.
Oh god.
I would throw like $5, on some gems or something. Speed up my production.
I spent way more. I've spent hundreds on, because a friend of mine that I lived with at the time, she was really into Little Empire, so a lot of times I would buy her stuff on there. I probably spent hundreds of dollars on this game back then. I won't touch it again, but yeah, spent my share of money. Anything else you've been playing, Joe?
Nothing really else I can think of. I played a little bit of Psychonauts. You were talking about that earlier. Okay. I'm not the other thing about Psychonauts, that's funny because it involves a little bit of story of mine. I'm quite upset about how it came to, because have either of you heard of a very disturbingly atrocious but very close to my heart webcomic called Homestuck?
No.
Nope.
So it's a very indie comic. I don't recommend ever getting into it because it's from like 2001. But this dude the dude that made it was basically like, hey, here's Kickstarter. I want to make a game for it. Can you, if y'all donate money, tiers, how Kickstarter works, things like that. That game got $8 million through Kickstarter. And I think it's really weird that Tim Schafer came out like a year later and was like, hey, you guys like Psychonauts? You want Psychonauts 2? I need exactly $8 million. And it's just like, well played, Tim Schafer. Well played. But he got it too, so.
And now they're, owned by Microsoft, so I think they got their money.
Yeah, they got their money.
I should have no problem funding another Psychonauts game if that happens eventually. Yeah. It's funny. I did want to mention something I watched.
Yes, we can jump into that part.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was going to say, if anyone didn't have anything else, I watched The Matrix Resurrections along with the rest of the internet.
I haven't seen it.
How was this?
Oh, boy. I won't get into my full thoughts here, but I think we're planning on doing an episode about it sometime in the future on our podcast. We covered the entire first Matrix trilogy on an episode, and that was a big episode. And we watched the Matrix Resurrections when that came out, and yeah, I have an entire page, a huge page of notes on it. After I watched it, I just kept thinking about things that I thought were either dumb or just weird. I don't know. I think it's probably the most unnecessary movie ever made.
Do you like it?
That's a complicated question. I liked some aspects of it. I liked where they were going in the beginning, with some of the meta stuff that they introduced. But then they just abandoned that whole idea and went in a completely different direction. So I would say it's fine. Overall, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. It's right in the middle. But even for a Matrix movie, you expect there to be awesome action scenes. That's what you come to the Matrix for. But even the action in this movie was boring and stilted. I don't know. I feel you could just tell Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss, they're obviously a little bit older now, so they're not as agile as they used to be, but the action just was stiff and unexciting. And they tried to do too many callbacks that didn't work to, the original trilogy. And there was a lot of things I had issues with it. It was fine. I had a decent time watching it, but it's probably my least favorite movie in the Matrix series. I would take Reloaded or what the fuck's the third one called? Revolutions. Yeah, thank you. Over Resurrections.
Hey, you leave the third Matrix movie alone. That one's
movie's
pretty
terrible.
Listen, the last fight between Agent Smith and Neo was fucking awesome.
That's the only part of the movie I remember, honestly. So,
dude, yeah, I mean that's straight up anime ass Dragon Ball Z fight, and I was all the way there for it.
Reloaded's fine, I think.
Reloaded's okay. Yeah,
Reloaded is definitely a sequel.
Yes, I mean it's not a good movie, but it's entertaining enough to watch. From what I remember.
Yeah.
So, there's one movie I want to talk about, and I really want to talk about it, and I don't know if we should talk about it, but I'm not going to talk about that movie right now. I watched Encanto.
Dude, I love Encanto. I've probably seen it like 10 times already.
I hate Encanto.
Oh man. Okay.
And
explain.
now I hate Encanto because it hits way too close to home.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't like the ending wise. Everything about the movie is great. Like, I love the music.
Mhm.
The music's great. All the characters are amazing. I feel like there's a lot of cut content from that movie though.
Mhm.
Because like it is kind of weird that the whole movie takes place in the house, and I feel they should have done a lot more with that.
Yeah.
And like I could totally see this movie getting like a TV show
Oh yeah.
or a sequel. I'd love a sequel from this movie. But and like I said, the music's amazing. I have at least 4 or 5 of the songs on my Spotify because they're really good, which is probably like half the soundtrack. But yeah, it hits a little close to home for me. I'm Hispanic. I grew up with my grandmother, and I kind of not okay for that to be the ending for me. Thank you, movie.
I agree. The ending is probably the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, everything up to it was awesome. Like you said, all the scenes in the house were great. And like the way they characterized the house was really amazing. And like you said, all the characters were fantastic. Love all of the music, all the songs and everything. But yeah, I agree. The ending is probably the weakest part. But overall, I mean, it's a Disney movie. What can you expect?
Yeah.
I watched it too, but I wasn't really paying any attention. I was trying to edit it. I'm not sure. I think I was playing a game when my wife just put it on randomly.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of people like it. I've heard.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the songs. Lin-Manuel Miranda was back for this one. Did Moana, which I love all the songs in that one too.
Yeah, Moana was a good movie.
So yeah, definitely the music is probably the highlight. Like that, I swear to God, that Bruno song gets stuck in my head like 5 times a day.
I really like the what is it? The older sister song. Under the pressure.
Yes.
Okay, that was good.
Louisa,
I was around for that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not the oldest sibling, but I am the big brother, so I kind of get that song too, and that's why I was like, man. And my other friend who is a big sister, she has very younger siblings. She's the oldest. Like, I look over and she's like tearing up. I'm like, "Are you okay?" She goes, "No, this song kind of hurt." I'm like, "It's okay."
I think that's what people latched onto about it, is that it's very relatable. I mean, like, every family has their own issues that they have to work through and everything, so it's definitely relatable. And like you said, Joe, I think it could hit a little bit close to home, and you can either like it or hate it for that.
Mm-hmm. So now, because it came out probably 2 weeks ago, Mike, can we talk about it?
What? Spider-Man?
Yes.
A little bit. He hasn't. I was gonna go spoilers at the end of this, but since Eric hasn't seen it, I don't want to go into spoilers.
Oh, Eric,
but we
you
can
haven't
talk about
seen it?
I have not seen it. I know. I gotta see it.
I mean, because I saw it in theaters too, and I loved it.
I needed this. Like, I want to say there was not a moment I was not crying in this movie. But this is the Spider-Man movie every Spider-Man fan has needed in a long time.
Have you seen the trailers, Eric?
I have seen, some of them. But I've been trying to kind of avoid stuff as much as possible. I think I saw like one of the first trailers and didn't really watch anything after that. But
okay, that's impressive that you stayed away from
know. Yeah, I don't know a ton about it. Obviously, I know that there's cameos in it, but that's about the extent of it.
Okay, it's one of those things I wish I could have went into it not knowing anything.
That's fair too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know much about like the story. I obviously know the overarching story, but nothing specific. So
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys, I mean, don't. Yeah.
We'll keep it spoiler free, but we can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, nothing about it, but it's a really good, like, it's a good movie. It's funny you mentioned trailers because technically I don't even think it matters if you've seen the trailers. Half the stuff in the trailers don't happen in the movie anyways. So
but I wasn't sure if you knew of the characters that are in the trailers. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for, because I mean the trailers show off a decent amount, but not everything. Thankfully.
Right? Yeah. They show a couple things, whatever, like Sandman and Reptile or whatever, and all that.
Lizard. I wish I could have gone in not knowing that. But I do got to say that, William Dafoe is a great actor. He is one hell of an actor. I do want to say that.
Have y'all seen Lighthouse?
Dude, I was just about to bring that up. We did an episode on the Lighthouse. That is, fun fact, that's actually our like best performing episode that we've done on our show. which is surprising to me because it seems like it's such like a niche movie, but it was fantastic.
I think it's one that a lot of people have gravitated towards.
Mm-hmm.
Or know of, or want to hear more about.
Yeah, and that same director, I forgot his name, is coming out with a new movie this year, The Northman, which I'm also really excited about because he's bringing Willem Dafoe back for that one too.
Oh, yeah. When you do finally get around to seeing No Way Home, like the last What Are You Playing episode we recorded, we talked about how this won't be in there and this won't happen and this movie's not. So next time, maybe I can talk about it more. But yeah, it's so good. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man film I've ever seen.
Okay. Cool.
I can't wait to see where it goes eventually. And also, it's not as much as a buddy team-up movie as you think it is from the trailer. Like how the first two Spider-Man movies are Spider-Man, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Nick Fury. This one isn't as much Spider-Man, Doctor Strange as it looks like in the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll have to come back and do a spoiler episode with you guys once I see it.
Well, someday I'm going to do a whole episode on that movie, but not anytime too soon.
You have to beat people away with a stick when you want to pick people for that, Mike.
I want to try to do all the MCU movies that came out this year, the 4. I want to try to do at some point.
Speaking of trailers, though, too, have either of you seen the new trailer for the Batman movie?
I haven't seen the other trailers up to that point, but I haven't seen like the newest one that just came out recently.
Okay, Mike.
I saw parts of it. I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention, though.
That's good, too. Do not watch the new trailer. I was
going to say, that's another one that I feel like I'm kind of trying to avoid as well.
Yeah, no. I've been telling people like all the time, people I know that are Batman fans, because it kind of came out of nowhere, so a lot of people didn't see it. Don't watch it. It spoils like half the movie.
I know Catwoman's in it.
Yeah, but there's lines from people, there's lines from people in that movie that spoil like pretty much half to almost the entire plot of that movie, and I'm just so disappointed that they would put that in the trailer because everyone wants to see it. Like they didn't have to do that to be like,
right.
This says something, someone says something, and you're like, oh, it's not even what could it mean? It's oh no, this is totally a spoiler. It's like, why would you do that? Now that part's gonna be ruined for the movie for me forever.
Yeah, that stinks. I hate how they put so much in trailers these days, which, I mean, whatever, I get it. It's a marketing tool to get people to try to use it, or try to see it. But super fans, like you guys, spoiling stuff straight up in trailers is like, why would you do that? I mean, I guess the thing is like, don't watch trailers. Like release one teaser trailer and then, that should be enough to get people excited for the movie.
Yeah.
I watch them when people talk about them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll get me interested to actually, okay, maybe I should find out what this is. But
I feel like trailers are like an event now, like a social media event, like something new drops and like everyone has to be talking about it on Twitter and analyzing it and releasing like videos and all this stuff, like breaking down every second of it. And like, I'm just like, it just seems unnecessary.
You're not wrong. I mean, that's a very good way to put it. And that's kind of how it is. I would agree with that. That's what they're going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and other movie that I watched besides that is old, but I finally got around. I finally watched Mockingjay Part 2. So I finally finished the entire Hunger Games series.
Okay. I don't think I've seen at least the last one, maybe not the last two.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
I mean, I hated the last book, so I had actually stayed away from this movie for a long time. Like I just had no interest, but it was fine. Like it's the Mockingjay series or the whole like Hunger Games series is not bad. I mean, I have issues with them. I had issues with the Mockingjay Part 2, but Mockingjay Part 1 is kind of a boring movie, but together it fits as one full movie, like just fine. I mean, I understand what they were going for, and I understand besides the money why they did it, but like, it's fine. But no, it's a good movie. It's very violent, and it's a very violent story though,
right.
But it was a good, like, I did enjoy watching it.
Well, yeah.
I don't need to watch it again anytime soon, but I'm glad I went through the whole series.
Saying that, I don't know why this reminded me, but I also watched the Harry Potter reunion special that just came out on HBO Max.
Oh, how is that?
It's really good. And like, I don't know, if you have a special attachment to the Harry Potter movies like I do, I mean, I kind of grew up with the actors as they released those movies. So I feel like it was emotional watching it for me, just to seeing everyone getting back together and talking about it, and like they were getting emotional, reminiscing about all the moments and everything on set.
That's cool.
And like it really makes me want to watch the Harry Potter movies again. I feel like my wife and I try to do like a rewatch every like couple years just like we think about it and we're like, we should just watch Harry Potter again, just because, you know, I just love those movies. But yeah, I would say if you have any sort of attachment to those movies, I would highly recommend it because it's really good and it's really well produced and put together.
Okay, I have a little bit.
I don't feel like crying, Eric. Sorry, I cry a lot. I cry at stuff. I'm pretty sure. Like the only reason I stayed away from it is because I'm like, I know I'm gonna cry at this.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna make me like be dehydrated afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
One day. Okay, I might check it out. I watched a bunch of the movies last couple months ago because my dad was in town and he just kept watching them all. But it's been a while. Like, and I really sat down and paid attention. So I might have to do that coming up. I've been talking about doing it, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking about doing like a something Harry Potter related for our show, just because one of my co-host Brandon has never seen them, and Dave and I like are huge Harry Potter fans, so we're always trying to get him to watch the movies, and eventually we'll get them just because they're so good. I'm always looking for an excuse to rewatch them.
They are good movies.
The first two are a little boring because it's the start of the series, but yeah, they're pretty good movies.
And they're more, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of the thing I love about them is that those first two movies were aimed at like kids, like the age demographic of who read those books at the time. And then as the movies progressed, they got more and more mature and a little bit darker in tone. And I don't know, I just think it's such a cool progression. So yeah, like I said, definitely a special place in my heart for those.
But is it Deathly Hallows Part 2 was like my first like midnight release movie. Like that was pretty cool being like, I think, wow. Yeah, like 18, 19 when that movie came out. So I grew up with the series too. So
I have never seen that movie still all the way through. I don't know why. I watched the entire series up to then, saw every single one, I think, in theaters, and I've never seen Part 2 all the way through. Seen parts of it. Don't know why. I even bought it on DVD the day it came out. Just never watched it.
I mean, it's a long movie.
It's a long movie.
Both of those movies are really long. So
one day. It's on my list. And I also watched a weird documentary that I want to mention on here. I watched a Tiger King Doc Antle documentary, which is 3 episodes on Netflix. I don't know if you fell in love with the Tiger King mania in 2020.
I watched. I don't think we ever finished it. I watched most of it, and it was fine, but like everyone was just so like hyped about it, and I'm like, yeah, it's good, but I don't see what everyone's going so crazy about.
The Doc Antle story is one of the guys they talk about. He's pretty much a pedophile and a rapist and just not a good guy. Mm-hmm. But it's very interesting to talk. Like he's the one that has the zoo, and I think it was in the Carolinas. Can't remember which one, but it talks all about him and his story. And you can tell he was not interviewed again for this because he would not have been okay with what they were saying. But it's pretty good though. Like it was actually, I thought, more entertaining than the Tiger King stuff. The Tiger King was just the guy was a fucking weirdo. Right. But this guy's actually a really bad guy, and you hear all about like the way he lived and what he did to these women and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'd be more interested in checking.
It's more interesting because they interview the women that worked for him, and they talk about like what he did. Like he married multiple women who were like 15, 16 years old.
Oh, wow. That's the guy that trained Joe Exotica.
He kind of like got him more into it, I think, or started something to do with it. But he also was he followed some Indian not yoga, I can't think of the right word, guy like that. And that kind of helped. He used that type of stuff to help him, mold people and control people too, in a way.
Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, but it's really interesting. The guy was a huge pedophile, though. Like, woo.
Yeah, I can think of something I've watched, but I'm going to segue away from it because we're talking about Netflix. And speaking of Spider-Man, did either of y'all watch the Hawkeye series?
Yes.
Not yet. Also not. I feel like I'm behind. I'm really behind on my Marvel stuff.
You should. I stayed away from it because I was worried to be bro. So I didn't watch it till about 3 episodes in. And people kept talking about it, and then I finally got into it. But I finished it late.
Yeah. So I don't know. They're just releasing so much stuff like nowadays. It's hard to keep up with all the Marvel content.
Joe, did you like it though?
Oh, I loved it. I like a lot. I liked all of it. Hawkeye is ironically like top 5 of my favorite Marvel superheroes, especially because it's one of the things of they say it in the show. He's just a dude with a bow trying to help. Mm-hmm. But I liked it a lot. A lot of like the Kate Bishop with the girl who played her is amazing.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah. And I don't want to spoil any of the show, but a lot of like the interactions she has with a lot of characters are really good too. And the Christmas theme of it's always a fun thing to do for a TV show in general. So But
it's one I look forward to covering next December on this show.
but with that, I decided since there's nothing really out for right now, and also I don't want to say anything else with that, me and my friend decided to start watching the Netflix shows because they're surprisingly still on there. So I've seen the first episode of Punisher. I liked it a lot, and I've watched the first episode of Daredevil.
Dude, Daredevil is really good. I
don't think those are going anywhere just because if Netflix produces them, I think they put rights in where they don't lose it to leave them on there, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
But I know what you mean because I don't want to have to go to pirating to find those someday when they disappear.
I had to go rent because I got my roommate into the Marvel series because my husband won't go see them with me. But so she's like, I've seen a couple of them. I will just watch to what I haven't seen. So I had to actually go and rent No Way Home and Homecoming. Not No Way Home. Homecoming and Far From Home because they're not on Disney. They're not on Netflix.
Right.
Sony.
They're not
so
anywhere.
annoying.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if I ever watched the full season 2 of Daredevil, but I really, really liked season 1.
1 and 2 are really good. I've never watched 3.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember how far I got. I know I at least watched all of season 1 and some of season 2. I think I watched the first episode of The Punisher as well, but for some reason it didn't click with me as much.
The first season is good with Jigsaw.
Okay.
I never watched season 2. There was a season 2, right?
Yeah.
I fell off. I think I never watched season 2 of Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. I think once I found out that they didn't really count anymore and they weren't like it was over with, I just stopped caring.
Yeah.
I think it was that last year.
I never had Netflix when they were coming out, so I was never able to keep up. So I'm very behind. But I've got nothing really else to watch. I got stuff I got to watch at work, so I might as well just throw them on now.
They're good shows.
Yeah.
From what I remember, Jessica Jones season 1 is amazing. But that's I don't know. I haven't really gotten around to them again. I do want to after the more recent shows. It made me want to go back to those too. I get it. I also watched in a random thing is I watched the first part of Mewtwo Strikes Back, the remake. That movie really is a 1-for-1 of the original movie.
The 3D one?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Weird. Okay.
I think I don't know for sure, but the dialogue felt the same. The scenes are pretty much the same for sure. Just 3D. Like it wasn't bad. I watched some of it, and I just was like, I'm done. But it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Does it at least look good? Like, is it good? Like 3D animation? Yeah. Okay.
I thought it looked really good. I was like, I would have loved this as a kid.
It's a very pretty movie.
Okay. Yeah, because I love the original movie. I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
That's a good thing.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind checking that out.
It's on Netflix. It's worth.
Oh, it is.
It's worth
Netflix.
watching.
Okay.
Or throw on the background or something.
Speaking of a 1-for-1 remake, real quick, because I haven't seen it, but the music video is out for it, so I recommend looking at that to go see the movie. Have either of y'all seen the Digimon movie, the American Digimon movie?
Digimon?
No, I don't think so.
Have you seen Summer Wars?
Nope. I was always a Pokemon kid. I was never really Digimon.
Same.
I like both. Well, ironically, the dude that made the Digimon movie, which he made the middle part of it, he also made a movie called Summer Wars. They're making another version of it, which is called, I think, like Bella or something. But it's about VTubers, and the music's really good. Yeah, it's really interesting, and like it's been blowing up in Japan because the soundtrack's amazing, and the guy that made the movie is really good. But we're talking about Pokemon, so being remade, and this thing's basically a 1-for-1 cut of the original Digimon movie. Just instead of Digimon, it's VTubers. So
that is just strange.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else you've been watching that you want to mention, Eric?
I don't believe so. I think that's about it as far as I can remember, anyways.
Okay. What about you, Joe?
No.
Any other shows or movies you want to mention? I have a couple still.
Does anime count? But you're gonna have to
Yes,
give me a
anime
hot
counts.
minute for anime.
Anime always counts.
I watched the first 2 episodes of Shaman King. The
I don't know
read.
what that is.
Yeah, I
know
never
what
heard of
that
that
is?
before.
Shaman King was. You ever watch Fox Kids growing up?
A long time ago.
Yeah. It was one of the when like the Sonic cartoon came out. It was it was Sonic, Shaman King, and whatever the hell else was on there as a kid. It was about this kid that he can see ghosts, but he's a shaman, and it's supposed to be the best shaman, and then you become the Shaman King. And I think you get a wish, and you can change how the world works.
The best like no one ever was.
Yeah, it's it's a typical shonen anime. It's just they decided to redo it, and it's one of the things where they've been doing that a lot recently. Where I've been hoping that they do that with more shows, like Bleach is coming back, Naruto still going on. Something else got remade too that I can't think of, but yeah, I'm hoping they do that more because a lot of stuff didn't got because back then anime wasn't popular. So if you got a show, it's always like, oh, it ended in a cliffhanger. We're never making a sequel. Yep. So I'm hoping they do that more. And then I also watch Komi Can't Communicate. If you like a good rom-com, that's a good show to watch too. It's about
I never heard of that.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
I guess since we're talking about the anime side, I've been catching up on Haiku, which is fantastic. I don't know, Joe, if you've watched that, or Mike.
I've heard of it.
Never heard of it. I don't watch anime.
It's fantastic. Like, yeah, it's my first like sports anime that I've ever watched before. But it's basically like a shonen style anime. It's got like the same beats of a shonen style anime. But it's really, really good. I'm like in season 3 right now. I think season 4 is already done, but the dub is coming sometime this spring. So I'm excited for that. But just thought I'd mention that as well.
Okay. And speaking of Netflix shows, I've been watching Fuller House for some reason.
Weird.
Not my choice. My wife, for some reason, wanted to watch it one day. I'm like, oh, because she was watching it at work. So she put it on, and we were like in season 2, and now we're on because she just watches it when I'm not around. I'm like, you can watch it without me. I'm good. I don't care. But I'll sit and watch some of it off and on, and I'm just like, oh, this show it's so corny. It's painful sometimes for me.
Oh, yeah.
I watch it when I edit usually or something, or I'll play a game on my computer.
Yeah, I mean, I have a certain amount of nostalgia for the original Full House series, so, you know.
You might like it then. I mean, it's not
I've watched
bad.
a little bit of it. And
it's just corny.
It's okay. It's fine.
But it ended, thankfully. It went to 5 seasons, and it has an ending.
Yep. 5 seasons, that's a lot.
Yeah, but they're shorter seasons usually, between 13 and 8. Except the last season's 18. Like, they go between 13 and 18, kind of, off and on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, if you like Full House and you have that history for it, and like, I think I was wondering my wife is enjoying it so much because she watched a lot of Full House, so she gets a lot of the in-jokes that they make. Because they'll make references, they'll bring back cast members from just random characters that were on the show, like somebody's boyfriend or somebody's friend. They'll get the actor back.
Yep, it's definitely a lot of references for fans of the original series.
No Olsen twins.
Nope.
They still make fun of them every so often. There's comments like there's one point where Danny's like, "Oh, I'm so happy I have 3 daughters again." The DJ and stuff, and called Kimmy his daughter.
I think they mentioned that in like the first episode.
Yep.
And they like look at the camera like, you know what we're talking about.
Because they just wouldn't come back for some reason.
Yep.
So I mean, there are some funny parts, but it's fine. It's not. I could do without it. We've been watching that, and we started watching Vampire Diaries. We didn't get too far into season 1. She had enough of it, but that's a show that I'm like, man, if I was like 15 or 16, I would love this show.
Dude, yeah, it's honestly not bad. My wife and I watched it like almost the whole thing through. Like probably when we were like, I don't know, 17, 18 years old.
That's a good age though for it, because then because the girl's pretty. But yeah. I'm like, she's supposed to be a high schooler. I can't really I'm too old to be like, oh.
She's been rewatching it recently, actually, and so I've been catching like a little bit of it here and there. But,
other than like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense with the way their vampires are so far. I was very early in the first season where she just found out that he's a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got like episode 8 or something, and then my wife just had enough of it, and I was like, I'm enjoying this though.
It's not like, I don't know, it's not a bad vampire show. It's your typical like teen drama CW style. Yeah. But like in the later seasons, there is some dark stuff in there, so it's not bad.
I definitely want to watch more. And then I have 3 things left to mention. One that I know I'm not the only one that watched. We watched the first episode of Golden Girls on the day that we heard Betty White had died.
Oh, why did you have to say that?
It wasn't my idea. My wife's like, I want to watch Golden Girls first episode. I'm like, okay.
Golden Girls is literally my wife's favorite show, like ever. So, yeah, we're pretty devastated when we heard the news of Betty White and everything.
Well, she died the day before the new year.
Yeah, it's crazy. And she was only weeks out from her 100th birthday or whatever.
Yeah. So when the body's ready to go, the body's ready to go sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah.
I mean, it happens. I mean, I'm sure people knew it was coming. Like, because when you're in that dying phase, like, you know.
Right.
I work in assisted living, so I've seen it once personally myself. But when it's coming, like, it's everything that happened. Mm-hmm. So, but it was so sad to hear.
Yeah, I've just absorbed a ton of like Golden Girls content through osmosis. It's like I enjoy watching it. Nothing,
I know
nothing against it at all.
My wife wants to start watching it, and I'm like, sure, I'll put it. I'll play games and edit.
Yeah, there you go. Have it in the background.
Have y'all ever seen?
Oh, sorry. What did you say?
It's cool. Have y'all ever seen the kids show, The Amazing World of Gumball?
I've caught it. Yeah, I've caught it before, and it's actually pretty funny.
There's you could tell like a lot of those shows are made from kids from like roughly our age. There's a whole Golden Girls episode. It's really funny too.
That's great.
The only downside to it is Betty White does not voice herself in that show, and it's like she's still alive though. Back then, like you could have easily had her do it.
Unless she just said no.
She could have said no.
Maybe.
Or wanted more money than they had to spend.
Mm-hmm.
I like when shows do that though. And then I've been watching two other shows. The one that I want to mention next is I've been going through Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and I just finished season 5 and 6 in the last month, or at least 6. Man, that show is amazing. I'm on season 7 currently. I'm in the very end of it, but like the last 2 seasons, there's a war they talk about that's coming. The pieces are being moved throughout. From the first season, they mentioned this adversary, but when you get to season 6 and 7, they finally go to war. And if you watch a lot of Star Trek, you see the Federation as like this very strong power, and they are getting their ass handed to them in this war, and the bleakness that it shows. But God, it is such a good show. And I just got done watching an episode called Meet Me at Hollow Suite 4, which is they go and play baseball for an episode essentially. And it's like, I remember when I watched it when I was younger, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. You're at war. But now as an older adult, like I get it. You're at war. You just lost a very good friend of yours, got murdered on your watch because the captain wasn't there because he went on a mission that he didn't need to go on. He could have let other people do it. And it just has so much like they needed a day just to relax and forget about all the terrible things that are happening. It's such a good show. I highly recommend even if you're not a fan of Star Trek, watch Deep Space Nine because it all takes place in one spot in space on one planet at one station where you can much easier keep track of what's going on than some of the other shows.
That sounds like the perfect thing for me because I have very limited experience with Star Trek, but I've always wanted to get into it, but I just never know what a good entry point is.
I think it's a good entry point. Enterprise is also not bad because Enterprise is a prequel. It only went 4 seasons, so you could jump into that too.
Is there anywhere that is streaming currently?
Enterprise is on Netflix. Deep Space Nine is on Netflix currently. Okay. Cool. Do not watch the original series.
That is where I tried to start a long time ago.
You can't, unless you're
in college, and I didn't hate it, but it was boring.
It's 60s. I mean, you can't go back and do it unless you have some kind of nostalgic for it, or if you just really want old TV. But it's very painful to watch. I went through and watched it all, and it was hard to do it. But no, I love Deep Space Nine. I really enjoyed Enterprise, but Deep Space Nine I think is the best of it.
Okay, cool.
The first season's it takes a little bit of adjustment, but even if you don't have much background, you'll learn who all the characters are pretty quickly, and you'll learn stuff that you need to know. You won't get some of the references when they make throughout there, but you'll be fine with that. Mm-hmm. You'll still be able to enjoy it for what's going on because it sticks with the same characters, it sticks with the same species, and they'll teach you enough about what's happening in the world. The Kardashians are the bad guys, so just like real life. So it'll help with that. You have one bad guy pretty much for the entire show, and they're bad guys because they enslaved the whole planet and then just pretty much ruined the crops and everything on the planet and go, we were good guys, we helped them. So it's relatable. Colonialism. I mean, that's what it is essentially. I mean, they go to this planet, they take its resources, they enslave the people, say they were helping them, say they were helpless before they got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and they get kicked out, and they have rebels fighting them and stuff over the course of 50 years, and they're always bitter about it that they lost. And they didn't lose; they left on their own choice. They keep saying, colonialism.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's very reminiscent of Star Wars, the Empire doing the same kind of thing with poor planets and everything. So yeah, that sounds really cool.
And speaking of Star Wars, the last show I know you've been watching, Book of Boba Fett, has come out.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of it, Joe?
I am super behind. I know of The Mandalorian. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched a single episode of it, but I know most of it that happens. That really needs to be on my next watch list.
Mandalorian's really good.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh.
Yeah, Mandalorian's awesome.
You're gonna laugh at what I've been watching in my free time, only because I've seen it. But I haven't watched Mandalorian yet. I want to watch The Bad Batch, but I also really want to watch that other CGI Star Wars show that's on there.
Visions.
Not Vision. I want to watch Visions too. Super bad.
Visions is pretty good. It's okay.
No, the one that's made The Bad Batch. It's Not the Clone Wars. It's the one about
Rebels.
There's
Rebels.
Yeah,
Rebels is amazing.
Yeah, I heard Rebels is great, and I want to watch that before I watch Bad Batch.
You want to watch Clone Wars if you can before you watch Bad Batch. Will make a lot more sense.
I've seen Clone Wars.
Okay, never mind. Rebels is good. Rebels is very, very good. It's also more interesting because it takes place in the more like the generation that I like Star Wars more is I like the Empire.
Yeah.
And that's where the Rebels takes place right before Luke becomes Luke.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
It's very, very good.
I know about the time travel stuff too. That's also why I'm like, I really need to watch this. And
you could still watch Mandalorian without, and you would just be a little confused with one character showing up.
Yeah. I know who that character is though, so it's fine.
Okay. But you don't know how she's alive or what she was doing all this time.
Yeah, basically. But I need to catch up on a lot of the Star Wars Disney stuff eventually.
Yeah, I'm still not caught up on like all of the animated series.
I'm not either.
Like the Clone Wars. I mean, I've seen some of the Clone Wars, but yeah, Rebels, Bad Batch, all that stuff. I'm still not caught up on.
Bad Batch. I didn't finish. I was having a hard time watching it. I just didn't like it.
I've heard some mixed things about it.
It's also, I think, because I binged all the shows, it was hard for me to watch Bad Batch when it wasn't binged. Like I was watching it each week as it came out, and that was hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Where Rebels and Clone Wars, I watched them years after they finished, so it was easy.
Right. Exactly.
I think that was why I had a hard time. I just haven't gone back yet, and I just don't care about the characters as much. But it's interesting seeing the birth of the Empire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I love that era as well.
Book of Boba Fett. I mean, I know people are complaining a lot about it because it's a lot of fan service. I don't care.
No, not. I mean, I feel like there is like some fan service, but they use it in like smart ways. Like it's not super in your face, and it makes sense of what's happening in the story with Boba Fett at the time, and his location, like on Tatooine and everything. It's
just the fact that they brought him back. People are upset about for some reason.
Right. Which I don't know. I feel like Boba Fett deserves his story. You know, he deserves his own show.
I believe at the end of these 7 or 6 episodes, whatever we're getting, he's not coming out of this alive. That's my prediction. Is that he's either going to die or he's going to be put away back in the box somehow.
I could see that happening for sure.
I don't foresee, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, there's just going to be more. Like, no, they're doing their thing with him. They're giving him a story. I don't believe that it's just going to leave him in Tatooine where he's at. I just don't believe that. I can't.
No. Yeah, I feel like they've definitely started out slow. They're starting out with a ton of like backstory of what happened between the Sarlacc pit and the events of the Mandalorian when he reappears. So,
which are nice though. Like I like having the background that we never got. Like, I mean, in everything else, he survives in all the in all the material that you have. So it's good to be like, you can't just kill this guy with nothing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I definitely like where they're going with it, and I like kind of the main conflict that's going on. But yeah, I could definitely see them going in a different direction that you're not expecting.
I think he's dead. I think at the end of these, he's going to die.
All right, you heard it here. I'm calling it right now.
That's my prediction. Either die or somehow be put away, and his story will be finalized and somehow. And I don't think they're going to leave him in power there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll leave him in power, and that's how they'll end, so they can come back to him. But I feel like that's not what's going to happen.
Especially with the title of the show, it's like the Book of Boba Fett. Like it's his story, and I feel like they're going to start it and end it with this, series. So that would make sense.
I like when a show only goes one season at times. Like I think Mandalorian had a great season 2, but that show only should go a couple seasons and then done.
Right. And
like whatever story you're trying to tell with Grogu, you tell your story and then you wrap it up.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Judging by how Mandalorian season 2 ended, like I guess I'm interested to see where they go with season 3, but like it could have ended after season 2.
I think we'll get season 3, and I think that will be the end. I don't think it's going to keep going because they have so many other shows that are coming too.
Oh my God, the Obi-Wan show! I'm so jazzed about.
Same. That is going to be a 1-season show, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
that's perfectly fine.
Obi-Wan has always been my favorite Star Wars character, so I am like beyond excited for that.
But I like when shows are just 1 season. Like a lot of the MCU shows that are out, like Hawkeye doesn't need a season 2. Hawkeye should just be done as season 1.
Mm-hmm. They won't. They'll make a Hawkeye sequel, but it's not going to be with Jeremy Renner. It'll just be with Kate Bishop. Which you need to just. I mean, he no matter what even though you don't know. I mean, he needs to be done. Like retire all the characters and move on to the next set of characters. Like that needs to be his end of his story. It just does. It just needs to be. I mean,
It's just time for that stuff. And that's what I want from, like, Loki, I think needs a season 2. WandaVision, I think that's done. Falcon and Winter Soldier does not need a season 2.
Well, they're getting a movie, so it's fine.
Yeah. But that's where it should go. I don't know. That's how I feel about shows. I mean, with the Disney shows, like the way that shows are now, like these are just mini movies.
And that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah. I like that they are like experimenting with some of the stuff in these different universes. And, a show like a 7-episode show or whatever gives them an opportunity to tell a bigger story than you would get in like a 2-hour movie, but not like, not overstaying their welcome with it.
Yeah. I know who to hit up now when we get to Obi-Wan someday when I want to do an episode on that.
Oh, man. Absolutely.
Because what I'm doing, like Book of Boba Fett, I already have a team to put together. Once that show ends, I'm going to record an episode about it instead of waiting a year like I did for Mandalorian season 1. 2 years. So, because I'm so excited for Boba Fett. I mean, I know a lot of people have been complaining about the first 2 episodes, even because they are slow, like we were saying, but I think that's fine. It's just setting things up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't mind.
Yep.
To be fair, a lot of the Disney shows are like that. Like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the first 2 episodes really do drag out. And I kind of feel like they've been learning their lesson with that.
The whole show dragged out, though, for that one.
I think it was okay. What is it? I think they kind of learned their lesson. Like, I think Hawkeye, the first 2 episodes where they put the first two parts out because people knew, like, if we cliffhanger on that first episode, we're going to get in a lot of trouble. But it's usually the first 2 episodes. I mean, but you also have to have story. It's always good to pan out your story just a little bit. So.
And I like it. I mean, you needed to have something because you have him Return to the Jedi. He falls in the Sarlacc pit, and then you don't see him again until Mandalorian season 1. He shows up for one scene in season 2, and he doesn't have his armor, and he doesn't have any of his equipment.
Yep.
So you needed to have something to bridge what happened and why he never got his equipment, why he waited 5 years later before he finally went and tried to find his armor. Yeah,
it feels like Disney's trying to kind of build a Star Wars cinematic universe with the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, kind of the same way that the MCU did with the crossovers of different characters and different series and stuff, which I'm all here for. I love the connected universes.
Same, and I'm also happy that no Jedi. So
yes, that's what I said. Yep. On the first
just crime. We're just getting a crime-ridden plot with
exactly
the Hutts and Tatooine and criminals, and we're getting lots of the races that I like seeing. Like I always get happy to see Twi'leks when they're not just sexy dancers; they're actually like other people.
Yeah,
so that makes me happy too.
We don't need lightsabers in our Boba Fett show.
No, I will be sad if they put in some kind of Jedi somewhere. There shouldn't be any Jedi.
I hope they don't, but I just feel like sometimes Disney can't restrain themselves with that. Like I felt the same way about The Mandalorian, but I mean,
hey, what we got
was
spoiler
great.
With Luke.
Yeah.
That was one of those few scenes where I watched it the day it came out and I was like, oh my God, and got so happy. So.
I mean, that's like the most fan service thing you can get, but it was good fan service,
But it also made sense.
Yeah.
I never got the Luke I wanted from the books and from the comics. I never got that Luke after Return of the Jedi. I got old man Luke drinking blue milk. I mean, I never got the Luke I wanted.
Yep.
So I was happy. And he was fighting Dark Troopers from freaking Shadows of the Empire, or not Shadow, Dark Forces. What the hell is that game called? Dark Forces, yes.
Yep. Yeah, it was awesome.
All right, any last things you guys want to say?
I think we talked about everything that I've been up to lately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything for you, Joe?
The only thing I have, which is funny, I've been rewatching shows from a long time ago, like y'all have too. The only thing that I remember that I'm watching currently, and I really shouldn't have because it hasn't aged that well, is King of the Hill.
Well, you're in Texas too, right?
No, I moved up. I watched King of the Hill because I miss Texas. I'm from Houston, Texas, but I live in Missouri, KCMO right now. And there's nothing like watching an episode of King of the Hill and like, let's go get some Whataburger. And there's like 2 Whataburgers up here now, but like it's like an hour and a half wait, and I'm not ready for that.
I have no idea what that is.
Whataburger?
Yes.
It's just a restaurant. It's
like fast food?
Yeah, it's fast food. It's an okay. It's an okay fast food restaurant.
Okay, but it's something from Texas, I assume then?
Yeah. I thought you were from Texas, Mike.
No, I'm from Wisconsin.
Okay. But you live in Texas, though. But...
No, I live in Minnesota.
Okay.
I just talked to a lot of people from Texas.
Oh.
Like Carrie's from Texas, Nick's from Texas. I forget Vincent's in Texas. I just have a lot of Texas guests. Cody's from Texas. Well, but no, I'm from Wisconsin. I live in Minnesota. I live in the north.
Okay.
But I know a lot about Texas. My ex when she left me and married her husband, who she also divorced. She went to Texas.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
It's a story.
Definitely a lot of Texas connections.
It's a funny story now, 12, 15 years later, but
Yeah.
it wasn't funny then. So I know a lot about Texas, yes, but I've never been there. I want to. I really want to go to Dallas, Texas, and see the spot where Kennedy was killed, because I'm a huge history buff, and
Yeah.
that changed the way that this country went. If he wouldn't have been killed, the country would have been way different, I think, if he would have survived. Also, he wasn't shot by asphalt, but hey, no way in hell.
What was it? What's that show on Netflix? The Umbrella Academy, proof that it didn't happen.
I've never seen that yet, but I know that, like, in one of the X-Men movies, Magneto's like, I was trying to move the bullet. How else do you think a bullet moved like that?
There's that. Did you see that Hulu show? What was it? 11/23/16. Whatever the date.
Yes.
Kennedy got shot. That was pretty good.
I watched part of it, but I remember when it came out.
I enjoyed that one. It was a different take on the whole Kennedy assassination, introducing time travel and all this stuff. That was pretty.
But I someday, I was supposed to go there in 2020. I had tickets because for work was sending me to Texas, and it was gonna be not that far from that. I forget what is it Dallas that he died in, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
We were going somewhere very close to Dallas, and I was like, I'm going to catch an Uber and go there because I really want to see the spot because I love history in it. And then my flight got canceled because COVID, and I never went to Texas. But I was going to go. I had a full plan. Like, as soon as I get done with work, I'm jumping on an Uber and going there. Yeah. That's my story. So I almost went to Texas, but no, I'm not from there. I just seem to know a lot of people from there. All right. I think that's everything we need to say. And Eric, where can people find you at?
Sure. You can find us at Nomads Fantasy on Twitter and Instagram. You can go to the nomadsfantasy.com, find us there as well. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms. Right now we're doing, like Mike said, we're doing our quick reviews on the Book of Boba Fett. Those release every Thursday after the episode airs. So keep an eye out for those. Those have been really fun to talk about. And yeah. We just recorded an episode on Interstellar, which just released, and that's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, you guys have been pretty busy, which I'm happy to see.
Yeah, and we got our regular show going, and then, yeah, we're doing this quick review series right now.
Welcome to madness.
Yep, it's been fun.
I do 2 episodes a week, sometimes 3. It's madness.
Yeah, and you play long games, too, for your shows, so you got to plan out very far in advance. Yeah,
everything's planned out months, usually about a month, 2 to 3 months ahead for everything.
Us, we're just kind of like, hey, you want to watch the movie this week for the show? Sure. And then on like Monday night, I'm watching it before we record.
But hey, it's fun that way.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't recommend to do what I do to anybody. All right, and if you enjoyed this show, you can go find tons of other shows. Your whole catalog is on Podbean if you can't find everything on Spotify. We do movies, comics, TV, seasons sometimes. And games. That's our bread and butter of the show. So definitely go check out all that. We did cover all the MCU movies from the Infinity Saga. Definitely go check all those out. And want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fury. You will see a link in the show notes to her TikTok. Definitely go follow her. She made our music. And also, we have a Patreon. For as little as $1, you can vote in our Patreon poll. The current poll is what Tim Burton movie we should watch. So definitely go help us out. You throw us $1. It helps keep the show on. And it helps the more people that I'll do more eventually. I just haven't done a whole lot yet until more people donate, and I'm willing to put that money into the show to make eventually exclusive episodes or make episodes that come out earlier for Patreon. So, hey, help us out. And other thing I want to say, give a shout out to my buddy who did A Gamer Looks at 40, started his own podcast, Bill Tucker. Definitely go check him out. It's much more of a complex show than this one. He does a lot of interviews and just very detailed and cuts and does a lot more cutting than I do and piecing things together. But very good show. Definitely go help him out. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. You can find all the audio version of the episodes on YouTube. And I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you all next time for next month. What are you playing? Bye, everybody.
See ya.